The wind rolled across the dusty plains, carrying the scent of wild sage and the echo of a woman's pain. The ranch had seen many storms, but none like this one. Emma stood near the barn, her face red from both tears and the cruel words that had just been thrown her way. She'd been working since sunrise, feeding the horses, cleaning the stalls, and fixing the fence that had been broken for days. But one small mistake, one word too many, and Mr. Grady, the owner of the ranch, had lost his temper. When he struck her, the sound echoed louder than the wind itself. The workers froze. The horses shifted uneasily. But before anyone could even breathe, a tall cowboy stepped forward, his boots crunching on the gravel, his eyes burning with quiet fire. "Don't you touch her again," he said, his voice low, dangerous, and steady as a revolver's aim. It was Jack Tanner, the quiet one. The man who rarely spoke, but when he did, the world listened. His hands were rough from work, his shirt soaked in sweat, but his heart was clean and his courage was pure. Mr. Grady glared, "You'll lose your job for this, Tanner." Jack didn't blink. "Then I'll lose it standing for something right." Emma looked up, her lip trembling, her pride fighting against the tears. She had been strong her whole life, a woman alone in a world that didn't make space for her voice. But in that moment, seeing someone stand up for her, she felt something she hadn't in a long time, worth. Later that evening, as the sun sank behind the ridges and the ranch turned golden, Jack found her by the water trough. She was quiet, wiping the dust from her hands. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly. Jack smiled faintly. "Yeah, I did. Nobody deserves to be treated like that." There was a silence between them, soft, heavy, full of things neither dared to say. The sound of cicadas filled the air. "You ever been knocked down before?" Jack asked. Emma looked at him, her eyes still shimmering. "Plenty of times." "Then I guess it's time someone helps you stand back up," he said, handing her his old bandana. She took it, pressing it against her cheek, and for the first time that day, maybe the first time in years, she smiled. But what neither of them knew was that this one act of courage, this one stand, would change both their lives forever. Because sometimes, love begins not with a kiss, but with someone finally saying, "He won't do it again." As the night sky unfolded its stars, Emma whispered a quiet thank you to the cowboy who chose honor over comfort, kindness over silence. And somewhere deep in his chest, Jack Tanner knew, he'd found someone worth fighting for. The morning sun broke gently over the hills, casting a golden shimmer across the ranch. The dust had settled from yesterday's storm, but inside Emma's heart, something new had begun to stir. She moved quietly between the stables, her bruised cheek still aching, yet her spirit felt lighter. For the first time in a long while, someone had seen her, really seen her, and decided she mattered. Jack Tanner was already in the corral, training a restless colt. His movements were calm, confident, and patient, just like the man himself. When he noticed Emma watching, he smiled, not the kind of smile that tries to impress, but the kind that comforts, like morning sunlight through old barn windows. "You look better today," he said, brushing the dust off his gloves. "I feel better," she replied softly. "You gave me that." He chuckled. "Nah, you gave it to yourself. I just reminded you you're stronger than you think." The words hit her like a warm wind, gentle but powerful. For so long, she'd been told her place, her worth, and her silence. But Jack's kindness had lit a spark inside her, one that whispered she didn't have to live scared anymore. That afternoon, Mr. Grady came riding up the field, his pride bruised worse than Emma's cheek. He looked at Jack with cold fury. "You're done here, Tanner. No man tells me how to run my ranch." Jack stood tall, eyes steady as the horizon. "I'm not here to tell you how to run it. I'm here to remind you how to be a decent man." The workers watched in silence. The wind caught Emma's hair as she stepped forward. "If he's leaving," she said clearly, "then I am too." Mr. Grady's face turned red. You think you'll make it on your own? I already am, she said, her voice firm. Because now I know I deserve respect. With that, she turned toward Jack. He nodded once, and together they walked away, two souls choosing dignity over fear, and freedom over comfort. They found work at a neighboring ranch owned by an older widow who valued good hands and honest hearts. The pay was small, the days long, but the peace was worth more than gold. Each evening, as the sun dipped behind the fences, Emma and Jack would sit near the porch, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet dreams. One evening, as the stars spilled across the dark sky, Emma whispered, "You changed everything for me, Jack. I was broken, and you helped me see I was still whole." Jack turned to her, his voice soft. "You did the brave part, Emma. You stood up. I just walked beside you." Their hands brushed, and for a long moment, they simply sat in silence, the kind of silence that speaks louder than words. The night was cool, the crickets sang, and somewhere in that peace, two hearts found their voice. From that day forward, the ranch became more than a place to work. It became a place where hope grew, where two people, once knocked down by life, learned to stand together. As the camera fades, Emma's voice could be heard softly saying, "Sometimes, all it takes is one person to believe in you, and you find the courage to believe in yourself again."